People want stronger relationships, they want stronger communities, and they want their kids to succeed in sports. This podcast is a place for honest conversations, real stories, and practical guidance, all centered on helping kids grow through sports. If you're looking for stronger relationships, stronger community, and athletes who grow not just in skill, but in character, you're in the right place.
CBMS is proud to be a continuing sponsor of YSF. For more than 45 years, we've helped both consumers and their lenders navigate the loan closing process. Our focus on trust and long-term relationships aligns perfectly with everything YSF stands for. And we are honored to support this podcast and YSF's mission for all of our kids.
Welcome, everyone, to From the Sidelines, the Youth Sports Foundation podcast, located right here in our home base of Muscatine, Iowa. Today, we've got Aaron Meyer, our social medias director, and Coach Ross DeLong, who's out of Durant, Iowa, joining us today. Ross, welcome to the podcast. Thanks for coming on. I know you're an extremely busy guy, so I really appreciate you coming on. Yeah, you're welcome. We thought we'd talk to you a little bit about, number one, let's talk about your role in Durant. I mean, I was telling Aaron before we came on the podcast, this guy is the Durant YSF. Football, track and field, and we don't do baseball or basketball, but you coach baseball, you coach basketball. Tell us everything you do there in Durant.
Well, at the high school level, I help out with the football team, an assistant on the high school football team. I'm the current head basketball coach for the girls. And then I help out also with the boys track team. We're actually state tournament starts today. So we got a busy weekend ahead of us for that. And then on the youth stuff, you kind of hit that on the head. I've done the football, been the coordinator for the football program for quite a while now, maybe over 10 years. And then I just recently, probably within the last 6 or 7 years, helped out with the YSF track here in Durant. So I wear many hats. I'm not wearing a hat today. Should be, but.
So let's talk about the YSF track program. What makes that, in your opinion, a unique program as far as track goes?
The thing about the YSF track is here at Durant, we get kids that go out and we usually have decent numbers, and it's a busy time of year because baseball and softball kind of started up in the state of Iowa. So we have kids that will miss, some track meets because they'll have some travel baseball or softball, but our kids just absolutely love it. And I always tell coaches, if you can get kids to enjoy track. I mean, nobody really loves to run, probably, when it comes down to it. I mean, there's people out there, some of the knowledge with that, kind of introduce them to handoffs. They have 2 field events. So they have long jump and shot put. So they get a little taste of not just the running part of it, but the field events parts. It's a really nice introductory where it's going to transition very well into if they decide to go run in junior high and eventually into high school.
And it doesn't hurt that the boys and the girls run together.
Not at all.
I think that it kind of makes the program unique to have the boys and girls compete against each other.
Yeah.
And at this age level, that works out in track.
It does.
The girls are fantastic runners.
They are.
They can be
and
boys.
They'll compete. They'll compete with the boys. I mean, we'll see 100-meter dashes or 60s and stuff like that. You'll see girls that are they're faster than the boys at times at that age. So it's really great to see.
In like the long jump, the girls at this age seem to be able to jump a little further than the boys. Boys at this age tend to be a little clumsier.
Yep.
Running down, being able to stop and jump. Girls seem to be a little more finesse at it. I went to a track meet, I believe it was in Columbus Junction this year, and just watching the long jump, noticing how the girls, they come off their jump, smoother, and they go a lot further than some of the boys.
Yeah.
And so I think at this age level, having the girls and boys compete together, not a problem. So
yeah, not at all. Not at all.
Let's talk about football for you. I mean, trying to think who the guy was before you that brought football to Durant.
Russ Paustian. Well,
Russ,
Chuck
yes.
Rogers was the
Rogers was the
original.
first one. That's right.
Yeah, he was the
Him and Russ
original.
were kind of together, but you
Yeah.
were shortly right after.
Yeah, I started coaching, I coached with Russ, when he was the coordinator back in, like, 2001, and it wasn't I don't remember what year we kinda got in, but yeah, that was kinda my first go at, coaching. My kids weren't old enough to start playing baseball or softball, so, that was my first run at, coaching youth sports was, with YSF football, and back then we had two teams at Durant. It was just 5th and 6th grade at the time. I don't think 3rd and 4th was even,
No, we had not started it yet.
yeah.
No.
So yeah, it was my first go at it, and I just thought, wow, this is really neat. Growing up in this, I grew up in this area, and our first taste of football was until junior high. And I mean, we really didn't even have flag football available, to us as kids. So I just thought it was just a neat program to get kids in safe equipment that, and at that age, I feel like it's a perfect time to teach kids how to play football, teach them the proper techniques. There's not a lot of high impact hits just because the kids are all about the same size. YSF, I think, has done a great job in looking over the years and just kind of adapting rules to make it safer. Certain kids with certain, you can only be a certain weight to carry the ball and those type of things. I think early on to and have those things installed was really great on your guys' part and just a really great program that I've been really blessed and honored to be part of for so long.
And can't leave forever because I mean that equates to 25 years.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean
Yeah.
that's a long time to
Yeah.
be the guy. I mean, and if you left today, who would bring it to Durant? Would it just go away? I mean,
No,
it's like that's my fear. It's like,
yeah.
so just if your wife's listening, what's your youngest? How old's your youngest?
My youngest is a 5th grader, Jack. Yeah, he's
Time
a
to have
5th
another
grader.
kid, Ross, because
Well, I know.
I mean,
With 6 kids.
Yeah, yeah, we're done on that
okay,
side of it,
okay.
but
I was
there's
maybe
plenty of
hoping we could
kids.
have one more, and then you could be around for another 25.
Yeah.
My goodness.
Well,
So
and Russ Paustian before me, his kids were all grown up,
yeah,
and he stayed in there for a
he
long
stayed in.
time
Yep.
afterwards.
Yeah. Great
But
leadership there in Durant. We've had
yeah,
great
we've
leadership in
had 3
Durant.
coordinators in the, existence of the YSL
Yeah.
once we got involved with it. And, here in Durant, we decided to get involved with it because we had some kids, that were interested in doing that, and they were looking elsewhere, to go play, and we thought, if we could keep all these kids here in town, and if it was something that, smaller schools, we feel like it's important for these kids to have an avenue to kinda all play together. And eventually all those kids, you get to see them as 5th graders and 6th graders. And then at some point when they're juniors and seniors, if they've had success at the lower levels, then, you're really excited for their junior and senior year when they're varsity football players.
Well, let's talk a little bit about that because your son Nolan, who was an outstanding high school football player, is now with the University of Iowa in his third year. But he's only was he a red shirt his first year,
Yep.
Ross? Okay,
Yeah.
so
Yeah. So
he's only a sophomore.
yeah,
Um,
he'll have
playing wise.
2 years of eligibility left.
Okay,
Um,
and I
next.
mean, how important do you think YSF football starting in there? Do you think that helped propel his? I mean, fifth and sixth grade, who knows?
Yeah.
But I mean, you were his dad, and you can brag on him a little bit. Did you see? Everyone says, "Oh man, when this kid gets to be a high school kid, yeah, I hear it all the time."
Yeah.
My
Yeah.
parents will go, "Man, my son, he's tearing it up in fifth and sixth grade."
Right.
Sometimes I back up and go, "Listen, your son's the biggest kid out there. When
Yeah.
these kids
Yeah.
all get into eighth grade, they're all going to catch him." You
Right.
know,
Right.
because that happens a lot. But
Yeah. For sure.
did you see something in Nolan that you're like, hey, he's got something special here? I mean,
Yeah.
I've gotten to watch him play high school, and he was super talented and fun to watch. And now he's at the University of Iowa. Um,
Yeah. And
what are your
hopefully,
thoughts?
maybe get some opportunities there here in this upcoming next 2 years. But And he's played some special teams. He's gotten on the field there. He's had some success already, but his dream is to play on the defensive side and play on that side. But yeah, early on, I'll tell you guys, I would tell people, we don't hold any. There's no YSF records, but if there were, I think he'd probably hold quite a few of them. I mean, he was one of those kids where you get the ball on the 30-yard line, you'd hand the ball off to him, and he'd run it 70 yards, and he did that many
multiple
times.
times.
And then just, on the defensive side, just, tackling every kid that was out there. But even as a fifth grader, like when he would be a third grader or a fifth grader, he didn't look like, because we always tell those kids, sometimes if you're on the fence, as a third grader, and you're a little hesitant about going out, maybe wait till your fourth grade year, because then you'll be one of the bigger kids. But like when Nolan was a third grader and a fifth grader, he looked like he should have been a fifth grader or a sixth grader, in that aspect. But yeah, it was pretty impressive. I mean, what he did at that level, and it just sparked his excitement for the game.
Sure.
Uh, and Nolan was a very well-rounded athlete, had success in multiple sports, but football early on, you could tell, was his love, and that YSF gave him the avenue. I mean, we actually started I think playing third and fourth grade right around the time when he was like a third grader, and I
Yeah,
was
I
looking
believe
into
you're
that,
right. Yep. Yep.
just because I knew he was excited. And there's not many schools at that time our size that were doing third and fourth grade.
Correct.
But
Yeah.
I just felt like we had a group of kids that really wanted to do it. And anytime you have that type of excitement about something, we're going to try to give them every avenue we can. And so yeah, that's about the time we got in there, and we saw it early on. I was like, oh, he's special. Even when he went from like his 8th grade year and he was going to go into high school, our head football coach, Joel Diedrichs, was like, well, there's a big jump between playing junior high football and high school football. And I told him, I said, I totally get it. But I said, if there's any kid that can do it, and it's Nolan. And Nolan, as a freshman in high school, was just, I mean, he was different.
He
He
was
was,
different. Yeah, it
yeah,
was. I was excited to be able to see him play in high school. Got the chance to do that, and he did not disappoint.
yeah.
There are
Well,
kids that are playing high school that we get to work the state tournament a lot, and we'll be like, oh, okay, this game coming up. Oh, I can't wait to watch this kid. And it's great and I was excited to go watch Nolan, and thinking, boy, I'm curious to see how he does. And he didn't disappoint that night. I think he either had 3 or 4 touchdowns, but he did fabulous, and it was exciting to watch him compete at the high school level. So,
yeah,
Aaron, I feel like I'm controlling the conversation. Here's the thing, I'm
Yeah.
gonna let you in on
What the
something.
heck?
Ross and I, we go back.
yeah,
We were basketball players in early morning basketball. Well, let
yeah.
me rephrase that. Ross was a basketball player. I showed up. So, but we had fun. We played on some tournament teams in basketball and stuff. But yeah, he's quite the. Anybody that knows Ross, they know he's a great basketball player. I don't
Well,
know any of your
don't
other sports, Ross, but you excelled in as a man, and I say that because I didn't know you in high school. But as a man, you excelled in basketball. You've got some talent there. So
Well, I
that
appreciate that. Don't sell yourself short, though, Jim. Jim could flat out shoot it. He could play back in the day, and for a long time, Jim, you played for a long, long time, and
I stopped at 54.
that's pretty impressive. That's
So
pretty impressive.
that's
So,
my body said, "You're not good. You're hurting every time you get done. Get get away from it."
well,
So,
and all those guys we're playing with just kept getting younger and younger and
oh,
younger.
they did. Yeah,
So
my age kept going up and their age kept going down. And I was like, "Man, I can't do it anymore." It's like, "Who am I gonna
Jeez.
guard?" You know?
yeah,
So,
yeah.
So
but
that's
Aaron,
a good segue for me
yeah, there
because
you
now
go.
Jim gets to guard me on the social media YSF side. So, Ross, a little bit of background. We haven't met before, but I came from like the education world. I was a teacher for about 10 years, really no background in sports. I'm a communications person. I'm a teacher at heart, and I love what YSF does. And I've kind of just been on the sidelines, right? Our podcast is from the sidelines for a while, just really in awe of what Jim has built with the help of so many other people. And I love how it stands for that fun, fundamentals, like getting kids in early on, teaching them what safety looks like, what respect looks like, and giving them those opportunities. And I think it sounds like from what you're sharing, you really see that too from YSF. So I kind of bring like the newcomers lens, and I want to bring that for people who are maybe interested in entering into YSF or starting a program, but they don't necessarily know where to get started. So could you speak to that a little bit, maybe with, you spoke to it with track, right? Like for track, here's the benefit of starting, boys and girls, it doesn't matter. So maybe from that lens of the different programs and kind of who they fit well and how to
Yeah.
get started.
Yeah. Well, and that's the thing. I think having this for us so close down in Muscatine, having the home office there really made it easy for us. And I know that gyms spread out so far. I mean, I don't even know how many organization or how many different towns that they have, with the football, especially football is huge. And track, we went from having just like one division now to where we have a north division and a south division. More and more towns were getting interested in this, and I'm sure with what Jim's done, and if anybody hears about what he's doing, they're going to want to have a part of it, just because it is. I think you get kids excited about it, and like I said earlier, we try to tell our youth coaches, and my biggest, the litmus test of how you've done as a coach is you get to the end of the season and you ask the kids, I know this was our last game, and you have your post game talk or your last track meet, you talk and you say, but I found an avenue. We could go one more week or 2 more weeks. Who's in? Who would want to do that? And if you get those kids to raise their hand and be excited about playing one more game or running one more track meet, you've done a heck of a job. And that's what, I try to stress to our youth coaches. It's about the fun part. We want them to be excited about it. There's so many different avenues and distractions for kids once they get to the junior high and high school level,
Yeah.
that you see numbers in sports programs going down. So the last thing we want to do when they're young is to give them a bad taste or anything like that. We want them to be excited about it. And I think introducing the sport has been good. Just going over some of the terminology. For track, we talk about some simple running form. And with me, both helping out with the football program in high school and the track, I have a huge interest in these kids, and hopefully to see them in the next, 4, 5, 6 years, at our level. So I think getting out there to these communities and people who don't have the opportunities, I think is huge. Um, we've just seen some really great things here in Durant with it.
Love it.
Yeah, I would agree. Thank you for the kind words there. Uh, Ross, is there a story or a situation that, whether it be from football, track, that comes to your mind that's like, oh yeah, I remember back in 2021 when blah 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 happened. Any good story you want to share with our audience
Um,
that you experienced yourself?
yeah, boy,
I know, putting you on the spot.
yeah. Um, I just think, I mean, there's a lot of them probably if you think back. I think what's really great, here is, and we've kind of alluded to it, is the people who have been involved with this program. Russ Paustian still announces on
Yeah.
Sunday games. He's like, he's the voice of the Wildcats, for a long time, did it at the high school level for high school football, and it was do the softball programs. I think stories like that where Russ is still, I call him up and be like, hey, you want to announce for these third and fourth and fifth and sixth grade football games on Sunday. And for these kids to see that, I think it's just a really great thing. But we've had kids come through this program that very successful. Ross Peterson played at the University of Iowa. That was kind of when Ross and his brother Kyle were coming into the about the age to start playing football. They were really excited about it, and that's kind of why we kind of looked out for to get it here, and reached out to you guys down in Muscatine is because we wanted Ross to have the opportunity to play, and Kyle too. But Ross Peterson goes on walk on to the University of Iowa and had a really great career there.
Yeah,
Jake
I
Soy,
forgot about him.
yeah,
I mean,
Ross
yeah, he was a
Peterson was like
fantastic. Yeah,
started
and
it.
his
Jake
dad
Soy,
was his dad the high school coach at one time.
yeah.
Yeah,
So Mike, his dad, longtime assistant of my
assistant.
father at the basketball, for the basketball, was a head coach for baseball for a number of years. Has been coaching on and off for a long time. In fact, he was my daughter's junior high basketball coach the last couple of years. Mike's
Okay,
still
still
doing some of
coaching.
that. Yeah, once you get it in your blood, it's hard to get it out,
Yeah,
as you can see. But I think, Jake Soy, I think, Jim, you've told the story about, one time he's at Northwest Missouri State
yeah,
playing
yeah.
football, All American. Probably be playing on Sundays if he wouldn't have gotten hurt, his senior year a little bit right before the combine. But, Jake Soy, I think in a post game interview, took off his shoulder pads and he had a YSF football
It was
shirt
awesome. We
on.
watched the championship game, and they went to interview him, and he had taken his shoulder pad off, and there's a YSF shirt underneath that we sent him, which I need to
Yeah.
get Nolan a T-shirt to send him.
Yeah.
Uh,
Well, and that was before NIL. So
I know.
Jim, it actually now with NIL it might cost you some money. If you have Nolan representing. No,
Well,
I'm just
get
kidding. But
Nolan
yeah,
down there. I'll take him out to his favorite restaurant.
yeah. No, I'm telling you, he'd love to do it. I don't know if any of the YSF shirts that he had growing up still fit him.
We've got some. We can send him
Okay.
some.
We've
We've
All right.
got
got
some new ones.
some.
But yeah, I forgot about that. I'm
Yeah.
sitting there on a Saturday and I saw him just screaming, "Hey, get in here! Look at this! He's been," because I think he was the MVP of that game, if I'm not
I'm
mistaken.
sure. Yeah, that's
And
probably right.
yeah, he just had his shoulder pads off, and there's that YSF shirt I sent him. And then he sent me a note later and said he wore that under his jersey, under his uniform every single game.
Oh,
So
that's
that meant a
awesome.
lot. I mean,
Yeah.
because you know what, number one, it meant a lot for us to have him be successful like he was. And I don't care if all of our kids, whether they go on to college, they're all successful. But to have a kid who can do that, like your son's, excuse me, is doing, get up to that level, and then to feel like it's important enough to say, "Hey, I'm gonna put this shirt underneath my pads,"
Yeah. This is where it
means it
started.
meant the world to me, and I let him know that.
Yeah.
So
Yeah,
yeah, I
no,
forgot about that.
it's great to see some of that, and we had a few years ago when Nolan was a senior, we had some track kids, a group of kids. They won a state championship in the 4x4, and all those kids were all YSF track kids.
Great.
Started
Yep.
off and got involved with the program early, and so those type of things. That's what really. That's what we're really proud of is like, getting these kids excited, seeing it carry on, and then to have them have some success. And, all four of those kids that won that, they're playing some sort of college sport. Colby Goss was part of that. My nephew Charlie, he's running at Ambrose. Colby's going to go on and play baseball next year, in college. So it's like all those kids just kind of continue to go through, and it's all because I think that youth sports stuff, to getting them started early and getting them excited about it.
Well, I think it has to do more with we provided the the means, but you guys, Ross, you and your coaches provided the fun, the coaching of it, everything. I've heard when I've been in the state tournament, hey, thanks to YSF, we got this team, and it's like, hey, I appreciate that. We're providing the possibility by having the equipment and stuff, schedules, what have you. But it's your coaches, your volunteers like Russ, who is still doing it. Those guys who said, "Hey, we're not going to let this die." You yourself, think of all the kid lives that you have touched in 25 years, just in
Yeah,
YSF. And I
yeah,
know that you've done more than just YSF programs. If you that's got to blow your mind. I mean, I think about the years I coached from when my kids were real little all the way up through high school because I coached high school football, and I got thinking, man, and it makes you feel good, and
yeah, it
especially when they
does.
come back and they're adults and they're still calling you coach. So
Yeah,
that really makes you feel good.
yeah.
So
I would love to know, like, why do you do what you do? Ross, it sounds crazy, right? You're doing all of these sports for 25 years, so many people, so many kids. Why do you do what you do?
Um, I think just being, I think for me, obviously I had kids that were involved. So I had this interest. I knew I was going to be having kids that were going to be growing up. I wanted them to have every opportunity that they could provide that. But for me now, it seems like I do this just to kind of stay involved, with these kids. You hear so many times, like you have kids that go to school and you kind of get to know some of these kids and you get to know these parents. And then once your kids, get out of school and then you kind of lose track. You go back and you watch a high school game or you watch a junior high game and you're like, oh my gosh, I don't know any of these kids or any of these parents. And for me, I do that just so that I can stay involved. And it's truly, as Jim says, it's very fulfilling to have someone come back and that they let you know, whether it's they write you a note or they just tell you, hey, you played a very significant part of me growing up and playing a sport. Those type of things are always really incredible, to hear. So the combination of just staying involved, staying, visible, staying connected to the community and the young kids, and then just the feel good moments of them coming up to you. And everybody can remember, I can remember coaches that I had as a kid that, man, I just thought the world of. I mean, they're almost like, before you start having actual heroes and stuff, they're right up there
Oh
with
yeah.
that. You can remember, everybody can kind of remember that. And it's great to feel like you do that for somebody. So
Wow, what a great answer. I agree 100% with you.
I love how you speak so positively about all the opportunities in YSF. Could you maybe give our listeners a moment, and you don't have to go into details, but maybe just a moment where it was like, this is getting hard.
oh
It's not, what I mean? Because there are
yeah.
those times, right, where we face those moments and it's like, you have to know that what you're doing is worth it. So could you just sort of highlight a moment like that and what got you through?
Yeah. Boy, there are times and um, you get kind of overwhelmed, like, especially with football, there's a lot to it.
Sure.
Getting kids equipment that fits properly. And that's always the start of the season is like the toughest. You're trying to line up officials for your games, your home games. And I get overwhelmed. You have to fill out facility requests for the high school, and that's what we do here and I'm terrible at that. Our AD would say that. But all those things it takes to have a Sunday afternoon football game, I get really overwhelmed. Track's a little bit different. Track's a little bit more laid back. But that football, and I tell people this all the time. And there's times I think, oh my gosh, I got to find someone else. My wife's like, maybe you should just find someone else to be the coordinator and just kind of step away from it. But then when you get into practice whether I'm coaching and I've coached some as a coordinator, there's been some years I just coordinate it and I get my coaches and they take it once practice starts. And then I just show up at practice and stuff. But I have never, ever, it's kind of like working out in the morning. I've never, ever regretted once I get to practice, once I'm around these coaches, once I'm around these kids and see that excitement, it just puts everything else that I've stressed out about on the back burner. And then you
Yeah.
realize this is why I'm doing it. And it's for these kids. Um, and then it just that's the thing. I've never regretted it once I get to whether it's a practice, whether it's a Sunday afternoon game. That's when it's all fun. All the stuff that leads up to that sometimes can be a little stressful. But it's tough to remember that I'm doing all this stuff to have fun. You kind of forget about how fun it is until you get in that moment. You're like, okay, this is worth every
That's good.
stress moment that I had the last 2 weeks trying to get these kids and equipment and referees to show up and and
Right.
and do do some work for me and concessions and all that stuff.
So it sounds like you guys and Durant have that longevity, which I think is almost something that people have lost. So think about a coordinator maybe who maybe they've done it for a season and they're kind of discouraged, or maybe they've done it for 2 years or 3 years and it's just, What would you say to them to encourage them?
What's helped me out a lot is finding good people. Even with sign up, and we used to do sign up, and I'm doing it actually next week for our football, bring parents in. They do a lot of stuff online, and I know that is a lot better, but I still like the old school. I'm going to meet these parents. I'm going to meet these
Yeah.
kids. If someone's on the fence, talk to them a little bit about it. But to find a group of parents that will help you out and lean on them a little bit.
Yeah, I think you hit it on the head. So, well, Ross, I just can't thank you enough for everything you do for the Youth Sports Foundation, for the community of Durant. And thank you for coming on to our
Thank you.
podcast. Yeah, I really enjoyed our conversation. I'd like to get Nolan on the podcast as well sometime. I don't know what it's going to cost me. Like you said, NIL now.
Right.
I mean, I know you're his agent. I know you are, Ross. I'm hearing there's big bucks involved, but we might just have to. I'll get my lawyers involved. You get your lawyers. Well, my people will connect your people. Well, Ross, thank you so much. I hope you have a great summer, and we're looking forward to seeing you in the fall. Yeah. Well, I just want to thank everybody for watching and listening to From the Sidelines, the Youth Sports Foundation podcast. I'll look for this. What venues can they see it on, Aaron?
You can find us on YouTube if you want to watch the video. Follow us on Facebook and Instagram at Youth Sports Foundation.
Awesome. We'll see everyone next time. Thanks for watching.